Superman Unlimited issue 8, Dan Slott writing and Jeremy Adams as well, with Lucas Meyer on the art. So Guy Gardner features heavily in this issue, which may or may not affect your enjoyment of your Superman Unlimited this week.
Yes, it's got two of my favorite characters in it. How could I not be amused?
What, Toyman and Guy Gardner? You sick freak?
No, Superman and Guy Gardner. And we get the bowl cut version of Guy Gardner.
We get him cutting his hair. He uses his Green Lantern construct to put a bowl over his head so he can trim his hair into his perfect bowl shape.
Yes. I love it.
Rough stuff. So the premise of this issue is that Simon Stagg is funding a spaceship, a rocket that's going to space, and the reason why they can go out to space and go further than they've ever done before is because Toyman has developed a new engine system using kryptonite, because kryptonite's now this resource they have. He's built it around that, and Lois somehow has ended up as the member of the press who's going to be like an astronaut on the ship. So Clark's all concerned because she's going to be on a ship that's fueled by kryptonite. Therefore, he can't, in theory, come and save her as easily as he would do, even though he kind of does later anyway. So it's not even like it matters that much.
So it's the first commercial light speed test flight for a spaceship, and we got all these influencers and pop stars and tech billionaires, and so it's all these upper like echelon type people that get to do this first.
Yeah, it is me or Simon Stagg looking kind of young and slim here versus what I usually think of him as.
It's because it's not Simon Stagg on the mission, right? His company paid for it, but this is Sebastian Stagg.
Oh, it's his son.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. This is Sebastian Stagg, because he had a makeover that I didn't know about, but yeah, fair enough, that makes sense.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, they introduced Toyman. They also introduced that there's some other people in astronaut suits that Stagg is talking to, so he's up to something, which obviously comes into play later.
And it's clearly they're alien because of the font on that their speech bubbles have. So it was like, oh, who are these shadowy figures? Oh, sure, yeah.
But basically, there's a bunch of aliens in space at the sector 2814, at the edge of the sector, who are like, those stupid humans have developed FTL travel. We don't like that. They're a pain. Can we like scare them off at ever like using it ever again and make them go back with their tails between their legs? So they basically try to ambush everything, and this is also where we get introduced to Guy Gardner, who is effectively called in to escort this mission, this ship leaving Earth, which is the duty of whoever's guarding Sector 2814 of the Green Lanterns, which he puts up a bit of a fight. He tries to argue that Hal should do it, but he's off doing something. Carol shouldn't do it because technically her ties to Ferris Air mean that there's a conflict of interest of her helping out with a Stagg Industries like shuttle launch. All right.
Which I understand in a vacuum, right? However, she's still the Star Sapphire and a hero. So regardless of it's Stagg or Ferris, she's going to make sure people are safe.
Also,
right?
Here's a more important question. Does the public know she's Carol Ferris as Star Sapphire?
And I don't think so. Same with Hal Jordan, right? Like, they say because he's, as a conflict of interest for him, because he likes rocket ships, right? He's a test pilot. I was just like, that's definitely some weird
That's not what they said.
Yes, it does. It says, Jordan's whole thing is experimental rockets, right?
Well, yeah, that's why.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why Guy tries to argue it, but she just says he's off on sick leave or something.
That's right. He's off on medical, and it's Ferris. It's on the. That's right.
Yeah, I was like, well, you're giving this like some elaborate reason when the reason is just he's off sick. That's right. He's got a sick day.
I read this late last night. I got my excuses swapped in there. But yeah. So Clark's nervous. Lois is like, calm down. So they launch off, which is a great full page spread of the rocket taking off, to be fair. But yeah, guys escorting, and they get ambushed in space. Superman hears that this is going on, immediately like flies off to go and try and help. Guy's already kind of dealing with it. The big plot twist here, though, is that those shadowy aliens in the suits are shapeshifters who start mimicking the astronauts, and the idea is that when they go back to Earth, these aliens will have taken over these roles. But Lois thinks quickly on her feet and puts on green lipstick that the influencer had, The idea being that Clark will immediately notice, something's not right there, and then they also pay off something else to set up earlier on, which is that, when you want help, like I'll ask for it, and he's like, I've never heard you say the word help. And first of all, like, that's a cute idea for Lois Lane, although I'm pretty sure she's said it numerous times throughout the years in comics. Like, not in like a demeaning way, just in a, I'm falling to my death. Help!
Yes, I do like the fact, though, that this is essentially their safe word, right?
Yes.
Like, and that Lois does not, unless she can help it, cry out for help.
Yes.
So making it the word xylophone, it's something that she normally wouldn't say, right? It's still, he can listen for it, but yeah. It took me a second to realize why she had asked for the green lipstick. And I was like, what does this have to do? And then it clicked towards the end. Again, I read this late last night.
Yeah, they already established that they were taking form of the passengers, so I was like, okay, I get what they're doing here. And not only does he notice the lipstick, but then he says xylophone to her, and she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I thought so. And then obviously immediately kind of like, sullies out what's going on with, which turns out to be Darlings. Darlings are the ones who have shapeshifted. They made a deal with Stag for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it was that one evil Darlin that was behind the whole Green Lantern Corps United Planets shenanigans as well. So seeing them come back around was pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes sense why Adams was involved in the writing of this with that little connection. But yeah, I mean, honestly, fun issue, very standalone. I will say it is stretching. I mean, I know they talk about it at the start that Lois is spreading herself too thin by being, mom, wife, running the Daily Planet, helping with superhero stuff, but also now astronaut. It was stretching the believability that she'd even have time to, like, prepare for this and go do this. It is just kind of getting on that sort of outskirts of like absolute absurdity of how much time does a human being have. But it's a standalone issue. I thought it was a fun time. I thought the art from Meyer was solid throughout. You get a lot of good stuff with the rocket taking off, stuff in space. You get some nice personality contrast between Superman and Guy. There's a bit of a twist that's completely resolved by the end. Maybe there's some more to like why Stag was helping the Darlings. Maybe that'll come up in the future. But if nothing else, it was given as another example of how kryptonite's being used on Earth. This idea that, hey, we've developed even better space travel because the kryptonite can be a fuel source of some kind. So
yeah, well, and just also the idea that they're gonna blow the engines because of kryptonite, right? The other aliens, and that they know Superman's vulnerable to kryptonite, except Toyman double shielded them, right? Because you don't want the engines exploding or whatever, so it thwarts them.
To be fair, for any craft of any kind, you don't want the engine exploding typically, so it's a pretty good logic.
Right. Well, yeah, it says, I made darn sure my AAA crypto batteries were sealed up with the Neutron just for such an emergency. Womp womp. That's why I bet he even adds the womp womp in there.
Yes. He's being as childish as he possibly can whilst running a space operation.
I will say that the design of some of these aliens too, like there's one that is just like living electricity, and Lucas Meyer does that super cool.
Yeah, he's basically just like a head of yellow energy with some hands. And at one panel, he even looks like a big Duracell battery because there's like a lightning bolt on like the invisible space, which kind of makes up the shaft of the battery. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting touch.
I thought that was pretty cool too. And just, I like how kind of inky or how dark the inks are, right? Because it adds with all the space stuff. It makes all the colors really pop. And I checked in Meyer inks his own stuff. So it makes all the color with the Guy stuff, with the green constructs and Superman's blue and red. Everything just really stands out on the rest of the pages. So, but yeah, the art, I'll take Lucas Meyer on a lot of stuff. Like I just love that style.
I mean, this was kind of this book doing what it's been good at, which is doing a very sort of standalone story that fits into an overall narrative with the kryptonite stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty like set up and pay off in the one issue. The only critique I would really have is that I think maybe the ending feels a little bit rushed. Not even so much the end of the plot, but more just the wrap up of it. I feel like you get Lois waking up out of the pod, the real Lois, after they've discovered the aliens, and then like 2 panels later, the book's over. It feels like maybe a page of, I don't want to say epilogue, but just some cool down would have been nice.
Well, it almost made me feel like this was part 1 of something. Like we were gonna get more into that, and then I was like, oh, there's Lois.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, yeah. Maybe
yeah.
like there'd be like a second part where it's like, hey, where did they put the real people that they replaced? Like, where are they or something? But yeah, they were just in the ship sleeping. There they are. But you know, it's still a fun read. It's kind of like I feel like Superman Unlimited's kind of what I think World's Finest wants to feel like.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. I like these standalone Superman stories because it really gets into, it feels like a day in the life of Superman, you know? Especially these last two that have been standalone and stuff. And even the Man-Bat issue, I really love that. That's one of my favorite issues of the year.
That's probably the best issue of this particular book, I would say.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot.
So yeah, if they can keep up this kind of day in the life, I'm okay with that. You know, there's enough room for that. But yeah, and again, if they keep Lucas Meyer on art too, at least it'll look pretty.
Yeah, well, he's not been the main artist, but I mean, I don't know if Albuquerque's staying on or if he's gone now for good or what. I haven't really paid as much attention to that part of the solicits coming up, but yeah, I'm definitely not going to be mad if Lucas Meyer's on the book in extended form now. But there you go. What are you giving Superman Unlimited?
I'm gonna give this a straight 7.
I will go 7.5. I think it was a enjoyable book.